Okay, today we're going to focus just on the First Amendment. This is the most tested and it's the most famous of the probably amendments. It's the most well known. So here's how you actually will see the amendment in the actual Constitution. Of course, we shorten it to make it a little bit easier for you to remember. But I'd like you to read this part on your own. But we know in here we have the freedom of religion, freedom of speech, press, assembly, and petition. And so that's what we focus on. And we went over this slightly yesterday when you went through the slides and you saw what the First Amendment was about. So the first one is freedom of what? And if you are a kid that is virtual, but you have a packet, you can write these things in and you can send me a picture. If you are virtual without a packet, you can just type it in like you have been doing. If you are a virtual person with a packet and you would rather type it in, that's fine too. So we're at the R. What do we write in? So this is religion, the freedom of religion. That's the first part. You're going to draw a sketch. What does it look like to be able to celebrate whatever religion you want or not want at all? So what does that look like? You're going to do a quick sketch here. If you are virtual, you can go to insert image and search the web for something that looks like freedom of religion. The next one is assemble, the freedom to assemble, and that is meeting in a group. What does that look like to be able to form any groups you want? You can have any group meetings about anything. You have a group of retired teachers can go meet in a group. Football players can have team meetings for something in a group. So we can all meet in groups, and that's not a problem. I'd like to see a sketch of some stick figures meeting in a group or something having a group meeting. The next one we're going to do is we'll do press. So press means to write, and please remember that the freedom of press is writing. So what does it look like to be able to put anything you want in a newspaper, magazine, on the internet to criticize your government? Okay. I'm going to re-put that up there too. So what does that look like to be able to, and so like when you see people at like football games or events, celebrity events, the people that are there representing news stations, they wear a badge that says press because they are the people who write about things going on. Okay, this one is petition. And so this is asking for change. So people will say, okay, I have this petition. I'd like you to sign it because we are trying to change the school cafeteria food and have Chick-fil-A. So, okay, superintendent, we have 10,000 signatures. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but you are more than welcome to ask for change. So what does that look like? People trying to get signatures, or people trying to ask leaders for change? And then the last one is speech. And we talked about how this does not mean you can say whatever you want. You can be arrested for saying things like hate speech or harassing people. But you also can tell your government, you can criticize them, telling them what they're doing good or bad. When the colonists were under Great Britain, well, the king was like a dictator, and he would say, oh, you say something bad about me, I'll put you in jail. They had the power to do that. So the colonists didn't like that. So they said, nope, we have freedom of speech. We can say what we want about our government. So what does that look like to say, oh, I don't like my representative? Or what's an example of someone using their freedom of speech against the government, saying they like or dislike, or saying, hey, I don't think you made a good decision. You shouldn't have voted yes on this law. You should have voted no. Criticizing, telling a government person or a leader what they're doing right or wrong is an example of freedom of speech. Next up, hold on one second. I'm going to turn my light on. Okay, I'm back. Alrighty, so You should have this written down, and I should see visuals. How do we picture that these things are going down, are happening? So how can we picture these? So that's what I want to see for this page. So you may pause this video so that you can finish this assignment. Okay, so now I'm going to go to your next assignment, which says the United States Constitution, First Amendment, freedom of religion. Here's why I created this, is because I noticed a lot of students didn't understand some basic things about other religions. So when they saw an example on a test, they were not able to answer it because there's things they didn't know. So I'm going to read this part to you right now. Today, there are over 4,000 religions in the world. The United States was founded on the freedom to choose your religion or to choose to not practice a religion at all. Religious persecution was the main primary reason for many who colonized early America and continues to be an important topic while establishing the United States, and continued to be an important topic. The First Amendment of the Constitution protects Americans against government interference of religious worship and practices. You don't have to agree with others' beliefs, but it's important to respect others and recognize that not everyone thinks and shares the same beliefs as you. The following is a chart that lists major world religions. And I'll show you that here in a second. Directions. Use this chart to create examples of First Amendment violations and protections. Your examples should focus on the freedom of religion. So here were some things that students didn't understand. So religious group and then their place of worship. A lot of my students said, oh, well, like someone told me yesterday, Jewish people go to a Jewish church. That's not a thing. So I wanted to make sure y'all understood some basics. People who are Jewish practice Judaism. Judaism is the name of the religion. So if you practice Judaism, you're known as being Jewish. The building someone who is Jewish goes to worship, if they want to go to the actual building, is called a synagogue. You might need to say that out loud, synagogue. People who practice Buddhism are called Buddhist, and many worship at a place called a temple. People who practice Islam are called Muslims, and their place of worship is called a mosque. Hinduism, if you practice Hinduism, you are a Hindu. And there's not always a place of worship. A lot of times they just worship at a shrine. And a lot of times this can be in their home. There are many types of Christianity. A lot of people know that religion. Well, there's lots of different types of that religion, meaning people practice that religion in different ways. Mormon, Lutheran, Baptist, Methodist, and there are dozens more. As to set up here, we have over 4,000 religions in this world. I've listed very few. If you are this type of Christianity, and there's even a lot more, your place of worship is called a church. But many of my students thought everyone went to a church, and a church is only a place of worship for these types of Christianity. If someone's at a mosque, it's because they're practicing Islam, temple, Buddhism, synagogue, Judaism. So we're going to use some of this to be able to come up with some examples. If you're curious about some world religions, here's like a pie chart. This is hard to kind of see. The religion of Christianity is about 33% of people that practice religions in the world. Muslim, that would be practicing Islam, is 21%. Hindus is 13%. Buddhists is about 6%. Other religions is 12%. And people who consider themselves non-religious is about 14%. And again, there's over 4,000 religions. So this other religion, it's got like lots of tiny slivers in there. So here's what I just need you to recognize, that there's other places besides churches. So you don't have to practice any religion. You don't have to agree with all these religions. It's just understanding that they exist and being able to identify these as a religion and not a type of food if you see it. So let me tell you what a violation is. A violation is something that is against what should be happening. A violation is bad. So if you're being violated, that would be bad. Protection is something that is safe, is something good. Okay, so we're going to be making examples of both. So here's an example of a violation of your or somebody else's First Amendment right. So violation of your First Amendment if you're an American citizen. The new mayor forced everyone in the city to practice Buddhism. That is a violation. It's a violation of the First Amendment right. No mayor can all of a sudden say everyone has to be Buddhist because that's what I am, so I'm making a new city law. No, that would be shot down because you're going against a federal law which says people can practice whatever religion that they want. So you see how that's a violation? It's going against a rule. It's bad. So let's look at the protection. Christians gather for a concert at a local pavilion and are not arrested for practicing their religion in public. That is something safe. It's good. What's being protected? Your First Amendment right, the freedom of religion. Can people gather in a park, play religious music, and do that in public and it be okay? Yes. You have that protection against the First Amendment, that whatever the religion is, you can openly practice that religion in public. And of course, nobody would be arrested for that. So we're going to create some violations and protections using this chart. Okay, so I'm going to kind of help you out with the first one, and then you'll do the next one on your own. So what would be something bad going against? You can make up anything you want. So what would be a violation? And we're going to use something else out of here. So let's go with, I'm going to go with Mormons. I want you to just pick I want you to use words from here. So I'm going to say Mormons. We're told to move west because their religion was strange. Oop, I ran out of was strange to some people. Well, I kind of messed that up. So Mormons were told to move west because the religion was strange to some people, and I got kind of messy there. Now, that's a violation. No one can be forced to move to some other part of the United States because some people don't like their religion. Do you see? And I just picked one out of there. So let's not use Mormons because I already used it. You could talk about the places of worship. What bad things could happen to a place of worship that would be a violation of people's First Amendment rights? So let's look at an example of a protection. So I'm going to use a building for this one. I'm going to say that, let's say a new Buddhist temple was built in Houston. Is that allowed? Sure thing. It's a protection. You see how this comment is like much more positive, and this one you're like, whoa, that's illegal. So the one you come up with better be, oh, that's illegal, and this one should be, oh, okay. Yes, of course, these things happen because they can happen. So now I've given you several examples, 2 examples for each, and you can create your own. But please try and see, this is kind of all factual, and I need you to use something maybe you're not familiar with, because these are some of the major world religions. And you may see things like this on a test, and I don't want you to be like, a mosque? What's that? Never heard of it. So use something maybe you're unfamiliar with to create an example to help you out. And you don't even have to use the ones I wrote. You can come up with something much better than I did. Okay. All right. And you can pause the video so that you can complete this assignment. So here will be the last part that you do. What I want you to do is without any notes, can you just jot down the basics? So if you even just wrote down wraps, but you knew what each meant, or can you go ahead and write what each meant? What do you do to remember your Second Amendment? What do you do? Do you write guns? Do you draw a gun? Do you write bear arms? What do you write? And then you'll draw a visual to go with that, or insert a visual to go with that. Do it for all three. It doesn't have to be word for word. So some people just write soldiers, and it clicks in their head that that means to quarter soldiers. Four, someone's like, okay, what is the Fourth Amendment? Okay, these keywords, let me put it down. That's how I remember. So I want you to go through each of these, and you are allowed to skip number 7. Okay. The rest, you'll write down keywords and insert a visual. Can you do this without notes? That's what you're trying. If you just try and use your notes, I mean, yeah, go for it, but guess who you're hurting? Yourself, because on a test, you can't use your notes. This is your practice to see. So I would go through here, see if you can do it, and then check yourself, okay? Once you are done with this, you will then want to go on quizzes. So there is 2 quizzes. I always forget if it's 2 Z's here or there. There are 2 quizzes. There's a basic, just do you know your rights? And I do take out 7. Just know that you don't need to worry about number 7. I'm trying to make it easier. That there's a basic one, like boom, 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 like what are your rights? And then there's another one that is your just your Bill of Rights, and it's a little more to it. You need to practice those. You can master this. I know that you can, and I really, truly believe this one. You have to make a 100. Like you don't even have an option. Like you have to make a 100. It is that you're that capable. So practice those as much as you can. You do have a test on Friday, and I know you can do such a good job, but you do have to have your Bill of Rights memorized. Also use those hand signals. Those help so much. Whatever you need to do to get them memorized, you do that. And that is it for today's lesson.